industrial trucks, who is charged with reviewing the 401k plan.
Okay, and in conclusion?
And in conclusion, we at Fifth Third Bank are prepared to become your partner, to help you provide the information to review your plan, to provide that information to your fellow employees, to make sure that your financial future is secure. So, are there any questions? Yes?
What guarantees are you going to give these?
Well, what guarantees are we going to give when we talk about investments? Well, when we talk about guarantees, the one thing we can guarantee you is that we are going to communicate with you. You expressed a concern that you weren't getting the type of communication that you were getting before. We are going to provide you with that information. We are right down the street. We're available at any time that you need us to come back and review with your employees the investments in the plan. So availability, that's the main guarantee that we have. Yes, Jim?
I just don't like this whole 401k thing a bit, because I got to tell you, I took all my money out in 2008 because I got so nervous. This is all the money I had. And our advisor said it was the right thing for me to do. And I've been out ever since. So what are you going to tell me to do?
Well, Chris asked a question that he wasn't comfortable with making decisions when the market was very volatile in 2008. So what are we going to do to help you with that? I think the most important thing with investment is the advice that you get. Because that's the most difficult. That you don't have the information. We do this all day, every day. And so we know what's going on in the market. And if you stayed in the market in 2008, you've made it all back now. You're ahead of where you were. So when I talk about the communication that we will provide, we're able to provide you with that information to make you more comfortable. And I think information makes you comfortable. When you don't know what's going on, that's when you get afraid of what's going on in the market. So that communication, I think that's going to help you make confident decisions when the market is more volatile.
When do you expect the next crash to come?
Well, if I knew that, I wouldn't be here.
What's the question?
Well, what's the question? I thought I would get that question all the time. When is the next crisis going to come? And as I said, if we knew when the next crisis was going to come, we wouldn't be here, because we would be ahead of every crisis and making all kind of money. And that's the whole point with the market. It's cyclical. We know that. And one thing that I tell people, the next time the market doesn't recover after a crisis will be the first time. So we never know when the next crisis is going to come. We watch different indicators and we try to be ahead of what we can control, but there's always that thing that we can't control. And again, that's why information is important. That's why communication is important, to help you make the right decision when those crises are happening. And there are things you can do to mitigate the downside. Yes, Mitch?
What's the cost of this plan versus my current provider?
Mitch asked, what is the cost of the plan versus the current provider? And that's one thing that we emphasized when we were going over the nuts and bolts of the plan with your CFO. We're going to be able to provide these assets at a much cheaper level because, for one thing, we're cutting out a middleman, a broker that you work with now. And so we're able to get into these shares at a much lower cost. In addition, we're not using proprietary investments. We're using best-in-class investments at the lowest share cost available. And so one of the factors we look at is how expensive are the investments. That's one of the many things that we looked at when I talk about the team that analyzes the investments for the plan. Yes?
Keith, this fund that you're trying to take away was up 40% last year. Why are you taking it away from me?
You asked, why am I trying to take away a fund that he likes, a fund that he feels has had great investment performance? And our job here is to recommend the best funds in every category. We don't want to take away a fund that's doing well, but when we provide you that information, we want to look at volatility, particularly in a 401k plan, because you can't totally control when you invest. And we looked, that fund that was up 40%. In 2008, that fund was down 70%. We want to get funds that are less volatile and have more predictable performance with the market. Yes?
Fifth Third is a local presence, but there are other banks that we've been talking to that also have local presence. Why would we go with Fifth Third?
Fifth Third, as a local bank, and obviously there are other local banks in the area too that can do this. But I think the thing that we have demonstrated over time is that we have more local people in the market doing what we do. I mean, PNC right down the street they have a local presence, but they don't have a lot of people like me that are able to come out and talk to you about this particular plan. They still have a lot of centralized portfolio managers. They don't have people that can come to your investment committee meetings and then have that conversation with you. The one thing that we do is we put those people in the market so that we can reach out to our customers.
I was at the meeting the other day and I heard one of the finance professionals ask a question. Why don't we just put everything in CDs? Why do we need a 401k?
Well, the question is, why don't we put everything in CDs? Well, the thing that we talk about retirement, growing,
Right.
being able to meet those needs for retirement. Well, the one thing over time, and we want to look at investments over time for one thing,
Right.
and you know, the gasoline that you bought for your car today, did it cost more than it did 20 years ago?
Yes, it did.
Well, if you put that money in a CD, you're barely going to be able to pay for that gallon of gasoline.
Okay.
We know investments are volatile, and we want to have the information to properly diversify our portfolios. If we invest in something that we know is only going to barely keep up with inflation, we're going to be able to do the same thing today. We're not going to be able to do it anything more 20 years into the future. We want to grow your money so that you can enjoy your retirement.
So in conclusion,
Fifth Third Bank is here prepared to be your partner to help guide you to your financial future.
well done.